The jury, which is a global jury, all of us, we worked very hard. There was lots of conversations, dialogues, debates, inside the room, outside the room. And it was just very rigorous judging, actually, when you think about it. 3,500 pieces of film, from long form to short form, to viral, to branded content, and to 30 seconds, 60 seconds. It's just across all kinds of stories and narratives. So we're here to pick up the best of the year. And to win here in Cannes is to really win big. So I want to thank publicly every member of the jury, and for Terry Savage as well. It has been a marathon. So in choosing the winners, the gold winners, we're very proud to stand behind the gold winners. We discussed endlessly whether this should be the gold, or whether silver should go up to the gold, or whether the bronze should go up to the silver, and so on. Because you're never quite sure until you get the cream of the cream, which we believe always rises to the top. So at the heart of what we judge is the idea, always. Great storytelling, but it still needs the idea. And what we found was some amazing, truly amazing work. And the great ones are always very simple, deceptively simple, and flawlessly executed, of course. So I'm sure you're very keen to find out what the Grand Prix is. Right, Terry, I think, shall we let them know? The Grand Prix was selected for such a breath of fresh air, truly. It was timeless. And I think it has heart impact, gut impact. We talked a lot about it, and surely but steadily it rose up the ranks. There were a couple in contention, but we chose this film because not only is it beautifully, deceptively, simply executed, but the narrative is incredible. And it actually talks about sustainability too, in a very engaging manner, compelling actually. And I think at the best, I think the best winners always has a message, I think. And this, we're very proud to stand behind our Grand Prix winner. So I would like to show you the Grand Prix winner, and then I'll hand you over to my judges to say a few words.
I was just guessing at numbers and figures, pulling the puzzles apart. Questions of science, science and progress don't speak as loud as my heart. Nobody said it was easy. It's such a shame for us to part. Nobody said it was easy. No one ever said it would be so hard. I'm going back to the start.
Yeah, I think that in our work, in our job, we have a big power, the power of changing behaviors and even influencing the world for good. And I think, in my opinion, one of the things that I love from this Grand Prix is that it leaves something back to the consumer, to the people. You know, advertising is usually very ephemeral, so if we came across to a message that is sponsored by a brand and makes you think about having a better world, it becomes timeless. So I guess that it's done in a very simple, compelling, engaging way. There's detail in every frame, and in the end, you know, I think it represents, you know, what we're here for. So.
What about Jeff? Jeff Edwards? Can you say a few words?
Yes, gladly. When the jury were considering what would be a Grand Prix, it was an interesting conversation because there's such a tradition here. This is the Festival of Creativity, the biggest one in the world. And when you think about the past 10 years and the things that have been iconic and the things that we remember, we were looking for something that could sit right up there, and rightfully so. And that was this piece. It's a combination of everything. Work here just can't be great to be a Grand Prix. It has to be exceptional. So whether it's the idea, the concept, the core idea, meets great art direction, meets great direction. There's one single camera move from left to right. The music itself, Willie Nelson's track, a remake of a beautiful Coldplay track that, you know, became its own piece. And all that stuff lined up, and at the very end of it, it left you with a gorgeous and sustainable message, which we felt very, very good about. And so that's why we made our call.
Thank you.
I think that these films reminds us that apart from the overall structure of business and marketing, we're all human beings. And I think that these films resonate because it interprets, encapsulates, and brings to life a need of messages, a need of positive energy. From this jury, every member went straight on that. And it's the same need that we had from friends that are living in the States and that shared with us their feeling when they saw that on television. So.
Oh, I thought you meant that might be my phone. Yeah, no, I agree with everything that's been said. I think the other thing that struck me about it was I didn't know Chipotle Mexican Grill at all. I just assumed they were another big fast food chain from the States. And the first time I saw this spot, it completely made me change my opinion of that company. I realized that they actually weren't, you know, like the big chains mass-producing food. They actually had a commitment to more sustainable farming practices, and it just made me think much, much better about that company. So aside from its beauty, I actually just thought it had a very simple message, beautifully delivered.
To add to what the other guys have said so far, I mean, this is probably, or easily, the most global message that we saw in over 3,500 entries, and one that has stuck with us over the last week.
Questions, please, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, I'm from Exchange for Media in India. I just wanted to know that of the, I think, 10 gold lines awarded, I think it's 10 or 11, I'm not sure, but out of the lines awarded, the gold lines awarded, are there any that were contesting for the Grand Prix that you discussed in the end very closely that came close? And also, if you can speak a bit on the media category, like there's Guardian over here, there's Canal Plus that's done really well. So media as a category, there's also Google that's done well. So media as a category in the way they're advertising right now.
What was the first bit? Sorry.
Any other contestants for Grand Prix?
Yeah, there was it was actually really easy to judge the goals. I think we got there, reasonably quickly, and pretty much unanimous on all the goals. So that was that was pretty quick. But I think by the time it came to judging the Grand Prix, I think there was 3 or 4 possibilities that we discussed. But when it actually came to the final voting for the Grand Prix, it wasn't even close. Surprising really, because I think the ones we were discussing as options were really, really strong bits of work, incredibly strong bits of work. I mean, everyone comes to the festival thinking they know what the Grand Prix is going to be, and they're not often right. So I think it was one of probably the only film that everyone was just silent every time we played it, and I think the commitment from the rest of the jury to that film was really, really strong and really, really obvious from the outgo.
Can you name some of the ones that were contesting, the 3, 4 that you mentioned?
Yeah. Is that okay, fine?
Is there any ones we were contesting?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay. I just thought I'd better check. I think really the films that were getting contested were probably the ones that everyone would write down now as what they thought the best ones were really. So I think it was 3 Little Pigs for Guardian, Bear for Canal Plus, and the DTV Direct TV campaign. But I think the jury just felt really strongly that I can't even pronounce it. I would say Chipotle, and I know it's not, but I can't actually. An English accent doesn't really work for what it's called. But it was. I lost my train now, but it was so clearly the one that everybody liked, and I think it's because everyone felt that it was a great film. It's a great piece of communication. I mean, the craft is fantastic. As Jeff mentioned, the track it just makes it. I think it's one of those pieces that lives on the track, and I think everyone just felt it was a great message. And I'd be really surprised if it doesn't do really well, throughout the whole competition in all the other categories. I think it's a standout piece of work.
Stand out. And media as a category. You mentioned about the other Grand Prix being for media, but media as a category and the kind of work they're doing right now. For instance, Guardian and Canal Plus.
Yeah, that was probably the standout category.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, there was some really, really strong work, some great work. I mean, I don't know how strong it normally is, actually, but it just probably contained, most of the contenders, really. And there was even behind the golds, there's some really good silvers in that category, so that was really strong.
Okay.
This question, Robbie?
Robin Hicks from Australia. Do you mind saying a few words about why you liked Super In, Super Out for Lion, the Hans Super Dry spot?
Mike, would you like to answer that?
Yeah, sure. Super In, Super Out as a gold. It's a film that in the beer category. Super In, Super Out as a gold. In the beer category, a lot of these brands, it really should be about having some fun with the brand, and really having some fun with the message. So with that piece of film, it didn't overcomplicate it. It was a really nice, simple, fun, entertaining piece. You watched it, it gave you a smile, it gave you a laugh. And with that particular brand and with beer, the jury just responded to it. So it just struck a chord.
I have a question for. I'm Suzanne from the Netherlands. I have a question for Mark Bernhard. We only won one Silver Lion. That's for your own agency. Can you?
Somebody else field this question.
And well, can you tell me what happened to the other Dutch entries? Did you see any, for example, LG Thief? And well, can you give some tips for the Dutch agencies to perform better next year?
That's a tough one. I did see LG Thief. You know, I don't. I'm not aware of who's done what work when we're viewing it. It doesn't work like that. So you know, while I'm aware of advertising, as you know, we probably to a fault don't study it as much as often as some other people. So personally, I'm not one who catalogs who's doing what all the time. I guess I might say that just in general, and I think the number of total lions probably speaks to it, that it wasn't a vintage year for film. If I'm honest, we didn't have as much of a solid body of work, and I don't think it's specific to the Netherlands. You know, I don't know. We talked a lot about why that was, and I think a lot of the big winners were. It's interesting because you kind of go between. Last year was a long piece. The year before was a classic 30-second spot. This year it's another long piece of content, and you know, it might point to the fact that there's, you know, with the
that is precisely the thing, you know, and also we're here to award global work, and nationalities aside, whether it's from the Netherlands or Japan or anywhere in that matter, we don't really care where the work comes from, as long as it's got us. It's the idea. We're judging great narratives and ideas here. We work for brands, so we have some responsibilities. So we put agendas aside. So how do you improve Dutch work? You just the interesting thing is amazing work is coming from everywhere. I think that's what we're seeing now. So that's a great thing.
Provoke, it has an ambiguity as well, because it's a chain. They also work in chain, but it's proof that a company that has, I say that, a broader bandwidth and a broader, I say that, infiltration into society, that they can take a decision to actually take a point of view and change the way they produce things. So, in fact, this film goes far deeper than most of the other things that we've seen. It's a type of film that actually is layered and will probably stand the test of time.
And also, I would like to add something about this, because we can't ignore the times that we are living. We can't ignore what is happening every day in our countries, no matter where we live, even in Europe or in the States or in South America or in New Zealand. And this message about Chipotle has something that is very important now. We are saying that we are in a financial crisis, but we are also in this crisis of values, that you don't know how to do, how to be a good worker, a good man, a good mother, or even a good copywriter. And with this campaign, we want to give a hope and give a message of optimism, because it's something, and it's also a message about honesty. That is something that is not abounding a lot in our times. And we decided that this is a brand that deserves an award, because they are talking with this honesty. They are very honest. It's maybe an uncomfortable message to say that, we went wrong, and now we have the way to make things again and start again and do it differently. So it's a message that we can take as very optimistic. We believe in that.
Hello.
Yes. Keep talking.
Keep talking. Oh, hello. Okay. Incredibly, the film also delivered the message to our country. Have anyone known about the sufficient economy? It's our king's philosophy, which is quite sophisticated.